Alright guys, welcome back. Today, what we're going to do is take a look at this fantastic song, mainly the guitar solo from Fast as a Shark by Accept, a bona fide heavy metal classic straight out of Germany from the Restless and Wild album, 1982. And this was guitar player Wolf Hoffman played all the guitars on this album. Herman Frank joined the band. Some of you might know him. But he did not play on the album. So the entire thing was Wolf Hoffman playing on this song and the whole album. So we get a big dose of Wolf here. And I love this guy's playing because he combines sort of the European style of playing with a little bit of pentatonic inspired stuff. So you get sort of this mix of classical and blues bass playing, which just works. It just works on so many levels. And most of the time, his solos are very singable and melodic too. So he's great at coming up with themes, as you'll see in this solo at the beginning. And then super cool little arpeggio section that's harmonized. And so we're going to just kind of go over this. We're going to call this guitar solo appreciation. I've covered this solo before on my channel, so I'll link you to that because that'll be more like in-depth note for note type of thing. However, this is the first time I'm also providing the backing track and Guitar Pro files and tab for this lesson. So you can find that over at Patreon. If you want to help support my channel and allow me to do more things like this, that's the best way to do it right now, is head on over to Patreon. Check it out for as little as $5 per month. You can have tons of great tab, Guitar Pro, backing tracks, and other stuff I'm uploading all the time. And for this one, it's really cool to have that backing track to play along with. I create my own backing tracks from scratch using MIDI and recording guitars and all that kind of stuff. So there is a bit of work involved for me in doing that, but I think it's really cool for you guys to have a chance to actually play along and have your guitar be the star of the show. On the recording, on the backing track, I played the harmony part on the solo, so you can play along with me using using the main guitar solo part, which I'll be showing you here in a second. So that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Well, let's just get started. I've already mentioned Patreon. There also is a free gift in the description box called 5 Blistering Licks to light up your fretboard. Check that out too. I think you guys will dig that. It's a free gift, and it's got some cool licks and things like that to get your fingers moving. This is in standard tuning, and let's just talk about the sort of the lead up to the solo. Okay, so this is part of the brilliance of this song. And if we even go back further than that and just talk about the song, Fast as a Shark, this was, a lot of people think this was kind of the beginning of what we came later to call power metal. And some people even think it's kind of like a precursor to thrash metal because it's really pretty fast, especially from going back to 1982 and comparing this with what was out at the time. This is definitely a little over the top in terms of the speed. And and then when you throw in like the little classical arpeggios and things like that in the middle, you can kind of hear where bands like Helloween kind of got some of their inspiration from. And so I think that's really cool. They kind of can go back to this song as a example of kind of what started a lot of the power metal movement that happened in the sort of the late 80s and through the 90s. Some of that power metal stuff like Helloween, and I'm thinking of like Stratovarius, Hammerfall, those kind of bands like that, which I love all that stuff. It's really cool and majestic, and it's a lot different than sort of the American version of traditional heavy metal. So Accept is one of those bands that kind of combine the two worlds. You get a bit of that, almost like an AC/DC kind of vibe sometimes with the simplicity of the riffs, but it's got a European twist to it. And that's why I think, despite having maybe a singer that wasn't a great vocalist, the songwriting was off the charts, and it worked. Udo's voice worked with the band, as you know. Now they've got a new singer, Mark Torino, and Tornado, and he's doing great albums, and I'm sure someone will let me know that I butchered his name, but I know who I'm talking about, and you know who I'm talking about, so there you go. We'll call him Mark for now, and he's done a great job too. But this is kind of back to that classic era of Accept. Like I said, 1982, Restless and Wild. They hadn't done Balls to the Wall yet. That was yet to come, and so they hadn't really made their mark yet on America. But this was, when this came out, I was 12 years old, so. Not to date myself, but I guess I just did. So I really wasn't aware of it. So going back and finding this stuff later was a true source of inspiration for me, even now, as a songwriter and such. So, I should mention too that if you're interested in Wolf's style of playing and the whole European, German style of guitar playing with like Michael Schenker, Uli John Roth, Matthias Jabs, and, of course, Wolf Hoffman. I've got a course called German Metal Masters, and I'll link you to that down below as well, because that directly ties in with what we're going to be talking about here. All right, enough jabbering. Let's get to it. Standard tuning. So the build-up kind of goes like this. Kind of a nice little way to get to the solo. So it's a whole different section that was previously coming out of the E minor fast riffs and stuff like that, where you had the and the chorus, which I love. Then you have this sort of inner instrumental section, which goes to a G, and then to a B flat, then to a C sharp the first time, and then same thing the second time, and finally comes back out there. But we're here to talk about the solo. So the solo begins on we're playing over B minor, F sharp, A, back to B. This is B minor, same thing again, F sharp, and then it goes like this. And it gets to the D major section where the arpeggios start chromatically. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But what we have at the beginning over the that's just straight out of the B minor Aeolian scale. Now, since they're power chords, you can throw in cool notes like the flat 5, for example, which Wolf does here. So let's take a look at that opening line. You gotta love that, right? Just that. I love that bend there. Right out of the B minor. Once again, I'm not for this you guys. I'm not doing like a full-on note for note breakdown. There's a link I'm going to provide for the video in which I did that, and you can get the tab over at Patreon to follow along with the actual performance of the song, of the solo. But I just want to kind of hit some of the highlights here. I love that. Then it goes up to A. Notice the half step bend here on the C sharp. Again, all of that is right out of B minor. Okay, and then he hits the octave there. B there. And then he goes up to this pentatonic idea. But it doesn't really sound all that pentatonic the further it gets into it, right? So you can think B minor pentatonic right here, right? And just consider like how musical that is. He's not just going, he's not just wanking, he's actually playing rhythmically in the pocket with the rhythm track here. So it's almost got a playful quality to it. Now he's adding the 9th degree there. That's at the 9th fret. So we're just right out of B minor. The rest of that is all pentatonic, and then we're going to go down to the flat 5th. Okay, that's the flat 5th there. This F note. And you can think of that as the blues note in the pentatonic scale of B. But to me, it kind of adds the gypsy minor sound, which Wolf uses a lot in Accept's music. And so where you get that is from taking the B minor scale and making it harmonic minor, but also adding a flat 5th. Okay, so here's what I mean. Here's let's play it here. That's harmonic minor. Could be 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10, 8, 9. So that 8th fret there, that A sharp note's the leading tone, the 7th degree of the scale, which replaces the flat 7 in the natural minor. But a lot of times what Wolf will do is also add in the flat 5. So in this case you'd have if you kept the normal 5th, then you have the 3 half steps in a row. Okay, and that's what I'm hearing here. I'm hearing more of that sound, the gypsy minor sound there, rather than just throwing in a flat 5 blues note. There seems to be like a little bit of that classical training coming out here. So here's that whole line. It just ends here. Right out of B minor scale there. And then to transition, we're getting ready to go into the arpeggio section. it goes to a little arpeggio section here that follows the chords. So we start out here. There's another guitar player playing an octave lower, which would be here. And that is covering a G sharp chord. Okay, so every arpeggio here I'm going to show you is covering the chord that's underneath it. You do that twice and then you move it up. It's just a major arpeggio shape. The root note in this case is on the B string. Move that up a half step and you get A major. And then here to A sharp major. So we got so when you get to the A sharp, now we're just going to do each one time. B, C, C sharp, and then we're into the actual arpeggio section. So that's kind of a genius way to link the previous section with the arpeggio section, is this chromatic thing. Right? It's just like I said, just following the chords. Until you get to D, and like I said, there's a lower guitar that's doing this. Resolves to a D. So hopefully that's kind of making sense. It's just sort of the composition of the solo. A lot of thought went into this, you can tell. Now, the really like part that grabs people is this arpeggio section. And over this, the chords are D major, E minor, A major, back to D, same thing. Okay, that's the first section. Let's talk about the arpeggios are following the chords here, and this is harmonized. So I'll show you both. We'll go over both parts here, but here's the higher part. So these are a third apart, by the way, so the harmony is thirds, but it's following a D major triad here. So here's the triad. Yeah, it's just on the high E and the B string. Okay. He's adding some notes from outside of the arpeggio to make it more melodic. And then it goes up to E minor. It's an E minor shape. 19, 15, 17. The previous one was 17, 14, 15. And then you're playing that 15 note on the B string, on the high E string as well. And we're going to go to A. Okay, so we have D, E minor, A. So put that together. And then it has the first ending, which was like this. And that's kind of just a run down the D major scale. Again, if you're getting lost, head on over to Patreon, grab that tab so you can follow along a little better. Or check out the video I've linked to this where I break down the actual notes a little bit more in depth. So this is guitar solo appreciation. So hopefully you can appreciate this approach where I'm kind of going just over the highlights and what I think is cool about it. And playing it too, so you can still pick this up even without the tab if you want. But here we go. So it's that whole first section goes. Pretty cool, right? Again, following the chords. The second time it does the same thing. But has a different ending. So it goes right down the D major scale, but starting at the 15th fret high E. 15, 14, 12, 15, 14, 12, 14, 12, 11, 14, 12, 11, 14. And then we go into the B minor section. Now the harmony guitar part over this whole D major section is playing the same arpeggios, but 3 frets lower, and so now the notes are rearranged a little bit, and it's harmonizing with this, so it's a thirds harmony. So that's the D major shape. I'm on the 14th fret high E, 10th fret on the high E, and the 10th fret on the B string. And the scale note I'm adding is from the 12th fret on the high E. So that goes with this. These are called inversions. They're inversions of the same arpeggio. So this is really a great way to harmonize, is by playing different inversions of the same arpeggio. And then the E minor arpeggio in this harmony version goes right, and then we're going to go to A. And then we have the, whoops, the little scale run. And then we play a start over. E minor. A major. And then it goes right down the D major scale, but now we're starting at the 12th fret high E. It ends up on F sharp on the 9th fret on the A string. So there's the whole D major section. Now to get back into the song, it has one more arpeggio section that starts on B minor, and then it goes to E minor, and then to A, and then a break, and there's a scale run right there. So over the B minor section, now this is the first part again, so the higher arpeggios, it goes like this. Notice that B minor shape. Up to E minor. A major. Notice here I'm using shapes from the lower, what the lower part harmony was doing on the last section, but it's going to go even lower. So now we're taking over some of those shapes. And then we have a scale run. Back in. And this is right down the D major scale. Here I'm using a combination of pick notes and hammer-ons. It travels through a few different shapes of the D major scale, or B minor if you want to think about it that way, which is really cool. And the harmony part does the same thing. So once again, the higher harmony goes like. So the B minor on the lower part, there, the 10th fret, 7th fret, 7th fret, and then the E minor, a little trickier. So big stretch there, from 12 down to 7 on the high E, and 8 on the B, using that 10th fret as an extra scale note. The A major then goes here. So here I'm on the 9th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret on the B as well. Using that 7th fret, the B note on the high E as an extra scale tone. And then the scale run here is a 3rd down scale tone wise from this one. So now we're gonna go. Whoops. Like that. So exactly the same notes, just three scale tones lower. Which is really cool to do that, and then it's back into the tune. I love it. I love this song. Everything about it, the riffs and everything's cool. So there you go, guys. This video's already getting pretty long, but I wanted to just have fun with this and take my time and tell you what I think's cool about it and bring some appreciation to this style of this old, the precursor of power metal here, and the greatness of the band Accept, and the guitar playing of Wolf Hoffman, and kind of what this meant in terms of future metal and stuff. We might not have the same type of power metal that we had in the late 80s, early 90s, and even today, were it not for this song. And the solo is also a great example of sort of going from the happy major sounds that you get in some power metal to the darker minor sounds as well. So anyways, hope you enjoyed that, guys. Once again, feel free to head on over to Patreon and grab the tab, the Guitar Pro, and the backing track for this, and just have a blast playing along with this. Like I said, you can get in for as little as $5 a month, and there's already like 116 videos and lessons and tabs and all kinds of stuff I'm adding to it all the time. So please go and check that out. Regardless, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Rock on.